Most discussions about OBS, streaming, game recording, and so on tend to focus on a specific use case. One monitor, one screen of computer, desktop, or gameplay, one console input, one 16:9 image. But what if you want to stream your new awesome 21:9 ultra-wide monitor? Or what if your desktop is another aspect ratio, such as 4:3, hint hint, or 16:10? Let's discuss this in today's course video. I'm EposVox, here to make tech easier and more fun. Welcome back to my OBS Studio tutorial course. I have plenty of videos about this software linked in the video description. If you have any questions, check that out. I've probably already answered them. And check the intro video to learn how this course works. Recording and streaming with oddball resolutions can be frustrating. 16:9 aspect ratio resolutions, such as 1080p or Ultra HD, are the standard, so that's what platforms and tutorials focus on. But what if you have an ultra-wide or 16:10 monitor, such as 1440x900 or 1680x1050? I've got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is that when streaming, viewers will always get the perceived black bars of letterboxing or pillarboxing around your content. Ultra-wide resolutions require letterboxing to display properly on 16:9 views, such as watching a movie on a TV, and 16:10 resolutions require pillarboxing, as they're just a bit taller than 16:9. At the time of writing and recording this course episode, YouTube's live streaming doesn't support other aspect ratios, but the uploaded player does. The good news is, if you're streaming to Twitch, where black bars are almost always there due to how their website UI works, or if you're just recording videos to upload to YouTube, this is not a problem. YouTube's new layout is very impressive. The player dynamically adjusts to your video's aspect ratio and displays it properly on any screen. Ultra-wide videos on my 4K screen actually look amazing. They take up the full width of my screen. But you absolutely have to record, edit, and render in the same ultra-wide resolution. For example, 3440x1440 or 2560x1080. If you record, edit, or render in a traditional 16:9 resolution like normal 1080p, the black bars are permanently baked into your video and the viewing experience is ruined for everyone. This is very, very important. I don't have much experience with ultra-wide monitors right now, but I have a buddy who does, so he's going to tell you about his setup process for his 21:9 gaming channel.
Hey everybody, this is AD Wheeler from the Explorographer.com. I am a travel photographer by day, but by night, I am an ultra-wide HD game streamer over at 219gaming.com. Welcome to my section of the OBS tutorial for EposVox channel. Thank you so much for having me as a collaborator on this project. I'm happy to share my knowledge here and get more people streaming ultra-wide gaming. All right, so I want to talk about three different types of OBS operations that we're going to be doing with ultra-wide. So ultra-wide is 21:9 ratio screens, usually 3440 pixels by 1440 pixels. I'm going to show you how to stream, how to co-op record, or single person record using OBS. There also will be some shadow play usage here. I have a special setup for co-op recording that I use that I want to share with you guys as a bonus as well. So let's get right into it, and we're going to start with streaming 3440 by 1440 or ultra wide on YouTube. All right, so we're going to go into settings here, and we're going to get this set up to stream 3440 by 1440. So the first thing you'll want to go to is video. And you're going to want to make sure that your base canvas and output canvas are set to the 3440 by 1440 and your frame rate is set to 30. This is very important because 60 does not stream well to YouTube servers. No matter what your bandwidth is, I have not been successful with that. So make sure that's set to 30. That's a current limitation as far as I know to the output of what you can stream. We can record and then upload at 60 FPS, which I'll show you how to do here in a little bit. But for right now, you can only stream at 30. All right, come over here to our output section and then streaming. We're going to use our hardware encoder here. We're going to set our rate control to constant bitrate. Our bitrate output should be the maximum of what our current service will allow. I know mine only allows right now 10 megabit. So I have 10 megabit up, so I'm going to set that to 10,000. Keyframes required by YouTube set to 2. preset high quality, profile high here. And here's an important one. In order to get this to work properly with the hardware encoder, you can't actually set a number here. You really have to set this to auto as far as I can tell. If I set it to 5.1, which would be the highest quality, that's just natural, right? If I try to stream right now, oh, now it's working. Okay, so once your source material has started, it'll work just fine. So there you go. I just learned something new right on the spot. If you don't have your source material going and you try to set that to 5.1 and you try to stream, you'll get an error. So just so you know that, start your source, you should be good to go. So here we are in the Division. It's a little choppy right now because I'm in the OBS screen. I'm gonna move over now to my other screen. I have two Dell screens working right now. Let's talk, there we go. So now I've selected the screen. You can see things smooth out a little bit. Remember, we are at 30 frames per second. Let me talk a little bit about my system specs. So I'm running an Intel i7 6850K processor. It is overclocked to 4.2 gigahertz and it is liquid cooled. I'm also running two NVIDIA GeForce 1080 video cards in SLI. So that's gives you a little insight of the power you kind of need to be able to do this. I'm actually recording this on one screen, the OBS tutorial, and I'm actually streaming out the actual Division out to my channel right now. And so let's just do a little gameplay here and we'll just see how this works. So yeah, you need to have some pretty good horsepower. You do need to have a pretty good internet connection to send out 3440 by 1440 video at 30 FPS. And also to record as well. So we'll talk about that in a little bit, but let's just try this streaming real quick and we'll take a look and see how that looks. All right, so keep in mind we are recording a stream while it's being streamed. So if this looks a little choppy, pay no attention. I can put up the source video if you'd like. I'll give you a link, or EposVox will give you a link so you can watch the video that's streamed. So here we go. We're streaming through here. It looks pretty good. I'm gonna get out into the world here and take a look at that. Right now, my stream says that I'm using all of the bandwidth, but we are green all the way, so we're getting full outs to YouTube, which is great. CPU usage is only 3.1%, which is awesome.
Warning, now exiting the safe area.
And we have no dropped frames, which is also very important. The gameplay for me on the actual game screen itself is 60 FPS, so it's super smooth. Looks really good. So gameplay is not hindered at all by this. And there we go. So that'll give you a little bit of ideas about how this looks. Working really well. So my CPU is kicking up a little bit because it's doing some work for the game as well. But right now, OBS is only using 2% of the CPU, which is awesome. All right, we got some enemies here. Let's go ahead and get into a little skirmish. I guess he said it wasn't much of a challenge. He was pretty much right. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. It took me a long time to get this figured out and get it to stream properly. So don't be frustrated. Just go through your settings, test your connection. I test my connection at speedtest.net just as, you know, see. I actually used a TCP optimizer as well to optimize my connect so that it stays pretty stable. And I also broadcast not only on 219gaming.com, but I broadcast on my YouTube channel, which is for my photography. I do live courses on there for my Patreon channel, thecreators.com. Also on Facebook Live. I also use OBS for that as well. So I'm streaming there, and it's a little bit lower bandwidth, and I don't stream the 3440 by 1440 at all. I'm actually streaming standard 1080p at 60 FPS there. So but for the 3440 by 1440 is pretty good. All right, so I think that's all the settings we need. I'm gonna go ahead and escape out of there. Now for my recording settings, it's a little different. When I wanna do recording, I'll generally go into settings, and here I'll go to the video and I'll set this to 60 FPS. And then in output, same thing here. I've been using just the default preset or high quality, totally up to you. High quality is fine. Keyframes 2, bitrate 130 megabit. That's basically mega BPS. Basically, I want the highest quality possible. I know that this is the limit set by the, as far as I know, the limit that is set by the hardware encoder. And my profile is to high and level again is to auto, although now that I have the source going, let's try the 5.1. This didn't work earlier, but we'll try it right now. My GPU is set to 0 and 2. These don't really make much of a difference that I've seen. Over on the audio side, I'm setting these all to 192. That's just a basic good quality audio. I know EposVox is rolling right now, being like, set it to the highest setting, but 192 has been fine for me. And then also in the audio over here, I just use my microphone as one channel, and there is one other setting that I actually do in the output. I make sure in the recording that I'm actually recording multiple audio tracks, and what I do is send out each audio stream to a different track. All right. So the co-op recording is a little different. So this is just going to be in-house recording straight to my hard drive. And also I want to mention, even if you set OBS to record at 130 mega BPS, even if you set that, the problem is that it will only go as fast as your hard drive can take. So record to an SSD if you can. That way it'll open that up and you won't have that limitation. But when I record to an actual hard drive, a mechanical hard drive, I had it set to 130, but then it kicked it back to 80 megabps. So just keep that in mind, that you can hinder yourself just by the hard drive alone. It will throttle it back. So make sure you record to an SSD. So we're going to go ahead and start a recording here. And that's the error that I get right there. So normally I get that. And the reason I get that is because I have the setting under recording. So we'll just go in here to output and then recording. It's because of the level setting. If I set this to auto, that won't happen. Watch, here we go. And there we go. Now it's recording. So I'm not sure why that happens, but let's switch over to the game. We'll do a little bit more gameplay. This time, instead of showing you the OBS window, I'm actually going to show you the actual recording that I'm doing. So we'll go ahead and play through a little bit here, and I'll show you what the recording's like. We got enemies right here. That's cool. So they're looking like they're in a fight with somebody. That'll work out great. All right, we'll get their attention. That'll get their attention. No, I got guys behind me too. I'll take care of the guys behind me first. All right. These guys are a little angry at me. That's okay. They can be angry. Fairly simple at this level. Oh, there was JTF there too, but they didn't help me. All right, so there you go, guys. That's a little demo of just a few seconds of recording at 60 FPS in-game. Right now, the CPU is showing 6.2%, and it does say that we're kind of hovering around the 50 to 60 area, and that's probably simply because I'm recording and recording and recording like 3 different versions of this. So if it looks a little choppy, normally it's not, so just so you're aware of that. So there we go. Okay, and in the final part of this tutorial, essentially is set up for co-op recording. So I do some recording with another guy who plays with me from the UK, and we don't usually stream this live. He has streamed it before with us playing live, but I have not. And so streaming ultra wide is difficult on the machine, let alone also the bandwidth requirements coming in and out. So then the gameplay gets kind of hokey at that point and doesn't work all that well. But you can do it. It does work. If you have a good connect, you'd have no problems doing that. Okay, so the way that I record co-op is a little different from the way that I do my live or streaming. I'm going to record a super high quality video using Shadowplay as my recorder. I have Shadowplay set up to record at 130 megabps, so it's the highest setting that it will go. I have it set up so that it records to my SSD, so I get the most speed there. And then I have some settings in OBS because I use OBS as well. I also use Discord for the audio portion of my recording so that I can talk with the person that I'm actually connected to in co-op. So if I'm recording and doing all that, first off, I'm going to show you how to set up Discord. So this is bonus material. So here's Discord. Here's my main microphone, and my output device is actually going to be set to a virtual audio cable B. Now, you won't be able to hear this unless you set up a few things in Windows as well, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So that's the first setting. You're going to be using virtual audio cable. It's available on the internet. I think EposVox has some sort of tutorial on it, I hope, on his channel. If not, you can easily find one on YouTube on how to set up virtual audio cable. It's free. It's donationware, I think, too. You can donate to get the full version. So anyways, you get virtual audio cable, you get that set up, and it'll give you a virtual audio cable A, virtual audio cable B, and then it'll give you an AB together. We're just going to use B right now. And that means that all the audio that comes through over here on Discord, which is the other person talking, the person I'll connect with to talk, will be coming through this line. So that's how that's set up. All right, so we've got that set up. Now in OBS, we're going to need to do a special setup here. So let's go to settings. The first thing you're going to set, and this is very strange, but we're going to do your output scaled resolution to as small as it will go. The integer value, FPS value, you're going to want to select that and set that to 2. Now I know that seems weird, but we're really only recording audio here, so we don't want to use up a lot of the hardware encoder trying to do big amounts of video. We don't need that. So we're just going to do this set to 2, and that's just going to give us a good reference recording. Over in output, we are going to set our recording here to audio tracks 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to only have 4. In audio, we're going to make sure that's all 192. And then also coming down to the full audio tab, we're going to want to set our auxiliary mic device number 2 to that cable B output. Okay, so that means that Discord is going to be sending its audio in through here into device number 2. Our mic is going to be set up to number 1. That means track number 1 is going to be set up to that. And then our desktop audio device should be set to default. All right. And then, of course, if you had more people playing, you would set up other mic devices, like cable A would be the other mic device, and so on and so forth. Right now, we're just going to keep it like it is. And that's all there is to that. All right. We'll go ahead and hit apply. And there we go. All right, now, so what I would normally do in game is I would now start my game. I would turn on Shadowplay to start recording, and then I would have a macro set so that I would start recording to the actual OBS as well. And then when I'm in Premiere, I'll just bring in both of those video files, and the OBS video file will actually have multiple tracks of audio. So let's just do a test recording. I won't have multiple tracks here for you now because I don't have somebody else talking along with it, but I will show you what it looks like from reference files that I have from a co-op recording that I did. So we'll go ahead and show you that, and you can see how it turns out and how I edit my videos. Okay guys, so this really isn't about Adobe Premiere, but I did want to show you what these files look like when I edit them and why I do my setup kind of the way that I do it. So here you can see I have multiple tracks of audio, and I have the game audio, I have Twist's mic here, and my mic, and I'm able to actually EQ each of these channels or control the volume of each of these channels, which is really important to get the best overall sound. Sometimes the game volume can be too loud when recorded. Sometimes one person's voice won't be as loud as another. And the number one thing I see on the internet, basically on YouTube's and all that, is that volume levels and voice levels are usually a mess. So Hopefully this will help you guys too if in your recordings. So this is what it looks like after I bring the file in and chop it all up. Let me show you what it looks like when I bring in the raw files. So let's drag some footage in here and I'll show you what's going on. So this is my original Shadowplay source material, and you can see one track here. And if I play this, it's just the game audio by itself.
Eisenhower has bigger plans. A mainland invasion.
So there we go. That's just the game audio. So let's look at the audio from OBS now, which is going to be a bunch of tracks. All right, so I bring this in and you can see there's tons of tracks here. And it's easy to see if I zoom in to align this audio. Let me zoom in here. I want to get these tracks lined up perfectly. You can see the OBS footage started a little late. So I have the ability to line all this stuff up. Make that a little shorter. Bring this in line with that guy. So you can basically sync everything up here and get it perfect. Okay, there we go. You can see everything's in line. All right, so now I can label these as to what they are. We've got several tracks of audio here. And we've also got a repeat of our game audio. So what I usually do is I'll unlink these. And you can see in the footage here that there's a small black box. This is what I recorded with OBS. So very little video, 2 frames per second. We can delete that and get rid of it. All right. And then I can select any track that I want. Here I'm going to get rid of the game audio now that I have it synced. And now I'm just left with what I had lined up here before on my screen, which is my audio, Twist's audio, and the game audio. And that's why I record that way. Now I can apply any sort of effect that I want, and you can hear these 3 played together.
Heard Operation Husky went pretty smoothly for you guys. Also heard Eisenhower has bigger plans.
Should talk back to him in Christopher Walken voice.
Ike always has bigger plans.
Can't even do it very well.
The point is that we've poked the hornet's nest.
Fell in a bowl
Things
of
are stirring.
milk,
What
cream,
things?
wherever it was.
This from your informant?
Right now, the audio is of the game is very loud, so I can go ahead and change this now and bring that down.
OSS is mighty pleased. And what with that and Sicily?
Heard Operation Husky went pretty smoothly for you guys. Also heard Eisenhower has bigger plans.
Should talk back to him in Christopher Walken voice.
Ike always
2
has bigger
mice.
plans.
Can't even do it very
The
well.
point is that we've poked the hornet's
Fell in a
nest.
So there you go. And you can just basically control the volumes and make a better production out of the whole thing. So I wanted to show you guys that and give you an idea of how I do my co-op recordings using OBS and using Shadowplay together all at the same time. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'm going to hand this back to EposVox. Adam, thank you so much for doing this collab. I hope the video was up to your standards, man. Your videos are the best, and I hope to be able to do more of these in the future. All right, guys, back to the studio.
You may proceed.
The same goes for 16:10 or 4:3 resolutions. Set up OBS for that proper resolution, whether it's 1440x900, 1280x1024, etc., and things will turn out fine. Make sure your canvas and scaled resolutions are set to this, and if you're streaming, you set your scaled stream resolution to a factor of your original. For example, recording at 3440x1440 and streaming at 2560x1080 or 1707x720. Alternatively, if you don't want to deal with boxing and black bars, your only other option is to run games at 16:9 resolutions in a window or downscaled full screen mode. For example, a 4:3 monitor can run games just fine at 1280x720. A 1680x1050 monitor can run games just fine at 1600x900, and so on. Then you have to deal with the black bars instead of the viewer. But hopefully that makes it clear why it's unavoidable. Any attempts to stretch your image to fill the screen will only distort it and ensure that no one really wants to watch your content. I hope this episode of my OBS tutorial course has been helpful for you. If it was, hit that like button, subscribe for more awesome tech content, come follow me on Twitch if you like. I'm EposVox over there as well. And until next time, I just said I'm EposVox, so you know I'm EposVox. Happy streaming.
Thanks for watching this episode of my OBS Studio tutorial course. More videos like this and a full master class are linked in the playlist in the video description.